Welcome. Hey, everybody. Come on in. Come on in. Welcome to the Unapologetically Black TV coming to you live tonight, this Wednesday night. And I wanted to uh, come live tonight um, to talk about the debate, Parchman Prison, a Black agenda. We're going to get into it tonight. So if you can, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit that bell so you can get notifications when I come live. Um, Welcome everybody. Come on in. Come on in. So I wanted to kind of go over the debate first before I get into what I really want to talk about tonight. Um, it has become clear and obvious that the Democratic Party has no intentions on talking about black issues. Um, I usually do my broadcast on Tuesday nights, but last night because of the debate, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna sit here and listen to this debate and see if I hear anything about a black agenda. There was only one person that got asked a question about black voters, and that was Pete Buttigieg, and framed in a way for about connecting with black voters, XYZ. And I kind of what CNN was trying to do with that. Can y'all hear me? Yeah, can somebody hit in the chat? Can y'all hear me? I want to make sure y'all can hear me. Thumbs up, anybody? Somebody can send me. Can y'all hear me? I want to make sure y'all can hear me. Can y'all hear me good? Okay. So I wanted to make sure that when we talked about these things, especially this, like they just don't. The black agenda is seems not to. They don't even have one. They're not even trying to have one. Like no one is even talking about these issues. Uh, they talked about healthcare for about an hour, Medicare for all versus whatever other policies they got. They talked about oh foreign policy a little bit, impeachment, what they would do in the first 100 days. But I didn't hear no concrete policy on anything dealing with black people. Uh, okay, thanks. Sound like I was in the Matrix. Okay. Pardon me, y'all. I got a little bit of case of the bronchitis. It's kind of killing me right now. But I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear anything about a black agenda. I didn't hear anything about economic policy. I didn't hear basically nothing. It was 2 hours of just. It was like watching paint dry. That's exactly what I felt like I was watching. And I I'm trying to understand as black people, ADOS, what are we to take from the Democratic Party, right? Um, full disclosure, I'm not a Democrat, nor am I a Republican. I am a issue focused voter, and I think ADOS people should be issue focused and agenda driven, and not be aligned with a party. And when you go to the ballot box, you vote for the people who um, say that they're going to do something for you in particular, and whether that's a Green Party, Libertarian, Democrat, Republican, whoever, right? You vote, you vote the way the issues go. You know what I'm saying? You vote the way the issues go. You don't vote for a party. You vote for issues. And what and what I found out, right, is that people are trying to fear black folks into voting for one particular party, right? You hear the tropes and you hear the things like um, voting for, if you don't vote, We get 4 more years of Trump. I'm just like, is it even bad? Because I'm sitting up here and I'm listening to these people talk, and I'm like, they act like the most loyal voting bloc is black people. We know that. Most loyal. Go look at it. Go look at the data. Most loyal voting bloc is black people, and yet we are not going to talk about any inequality, systematic oppression, injustice, criminal justice reform, prison reform, uh, economic development inside the black community, anything. We're not talking about any issues at all. And I'm trying to figure out what is going on. Like why is it that this is the case? And I come to the realization that I don't think they care about black voters. That's just bottom line. We're not the we're not the hot button topic. You know what I'm saying? We're not the news cycle. This is just a crude disadvantage, right? We've had to suffer from this for so long that it's no longer a talking point or even anything to run on. So we're just gonna avoid them at all costs. They're gonna come vote for us regardless. We don't have to do anything, and we're gonna keep it moving. Our only agenda is to get Trump out of office. That's what I feel is going on. So when it comes to this black agenda and these candidates, every time they get challenged on race issues, it seems like they stumble. They have a big problem talking about race, right? You could tell that they're just uncomfortable. You see Bernie Sanders, every time somebody brings up a race question or ask him about reparations, he seems like he about to have like a conniption fit, right? He's like going into this rage, and or he'll just be dismissive and ask what is reparations, something to that fact, right? Then you hear Joe Biden, and he talks about race, and his thing is, I'm gonna ride Obama's coattail till the wheels fall off. I don't have anything that I can stand on because my record is completely horrible. It is completely horrible. I was hanging out with segregationists. I was, locking Negroes up. You know what I'm saying? I was calling them super predators, and I ain't want them in my neighborhood. I don't have anything to run on, but I got Obama. And black folks loved Obama, so I'm just gonna keep using his name till the wheels fall off. That's what I get from Joe Biden. Because if you hear him talk about policy, it's he just says, I got the most support from black folks, and I got the most endorsements from Congress. Well, we've already determined that the Congressional Black Caucus is just fraudulent in the first place. So I wouldn't even be out there toting the line for the CBC right now, like for blackness, because they are just completely and utterly negligent in their duties and responsibilities right now. So I wouldn't even be out here toting them. And so then you get Amy Klobuchar. I honestly, it's just my personal opinion. I don't think Amy knows anybody black at all because she doesn't talk about the issues. She comes from, she's a Midwesterner. I'm in the Midwest, so she just kind of talks like a regular Midwesterner. They just kind of, they discard black folks here. And so, hey, it is what it is. They don't really, I mean, and you have to understand the dynamic when it comes to the Democratic Party in the Midwest, because it's heavily white, right? And the black people that are in it don't have any leverage to do anything, so they just kind of just hanging on for dear life, and it's just as corrupt as anything else, and it's probably more so racist than anything. And that is what I see. I think my microphone is acting up. Oh God. Let's see here. All right. Make sure I ain't in the matrix no more. Am I still in the matrix? I'm gonna type something. I don't know what's going on tonight. I'm about to drop that fire and they don't want me to talk. So let's see here. Can y'all hear me? Okay, good. My mic is on. All right. So they it's like in the Matrix, right? It's in the Matrix, and uh, I think I'm in the Matrix right now. No. Anywho, so that's how the Midwest is when it comes to black black Democrats. You know, you part of the party, but you're not part of the party. Um, so I try to understand, like, I look at Tom Steyer. I don't think that he's going to be around. He kind of hinted to something last night when he was talking about, you know, inequality a little bit, and talked about education inequality, and then they kind of cut him off. They cut him off straight up, just cut him off, and he's talking about inequality, because that was not what CNN wanted to happen, right? They did not want him to talk anything about inequality. So they just straight up, hey, thank you for your time, Tom. All right, moving on to the next question. And he was trying to discuss, instead of talking about college affordability, what we should be doing is reinvesting in early education among black communities, because we know that poverty, education is tied to poverty, and depending on what zip code you come from, ultimately tells, kind of is like a predictor whether succeed, or you go through the school to prison pipeline. So they didn't give the man a chance to even figure that out, or even not figure it out, but finish his own statement. And then, so that's what I got from the debate last night. Pete Buttigieg, I don't know. Um, they keep he's not the only candidate that they want to talk about black voters with. Like, he has this problem with black voters, but I'm like, y'all didn't ask Amy Klobuchar that, because I'm pretty sure she polling horrible too amongst black people. So, Elizabeth Warren, she got on a soapbox. She got a story for everything. She got a plan for everything. But she ain't seem like she don't have no plan for black people. So, Liz, you're going to have to get it together. You know, it just seemed like it's just like a lot of mudslinging in it. It was just like I said, it reminded me of just like watching paint dry. So that was the debate. So we, as black voters, ADOS voters, we got about a month before the polls start opening up. I think in Iowa, early voting starts like at the beginning of February. Ain't a lot of us in Iowa, so hey, good on her. But South Carolina is the next one after that. We're gonna have to make some decisions, and we're gonna have to start looking at these candidates and really pushing an agenda, and that means not just on Twitter. Like, we really gonna have to be in these people's faces, and we really gonna have to be on the ground, because this election is tied to a lot of other stuff. It's just not the president that is up for election. We got judges, we got senators, we got House of Representatives, you got mayors and judges, and district attorneys, and all these other things that are on the ballot. And you're gonna have to be engaged as a voter to ensure that the right person is put into whatever office it is that you care about. And because it's not so much about the president as it is about local stuff, because I'm a firm believer that politics is local. And if you ain't paying attention to what's going on in your local elections, when it comes to these district attorneys, these prosecutors, these police chiefs, well, the mayors, whatever it is that's going on in your local area, you could end up with a situation that's going on like in Mississippi right now. And a lot of people are not paying attention. I think ADOS folks are talking about it. You see some people, mentioning it. But we have a serious issue that's going on in Mississippi with the prison system. And I am a firm believer that this ain't the only place that this is going on. Pardon me. I'm a firm believer in that. I'm a firm believer that this ain't the only place that this is going on. I I I bet 100% that every state prison system is being ran like the one that's in Mississippi right now. And I'm from the South. I'm from Georgia, and I know the prison system in Georgia was horrible. The conditions were horrible. I had friends who worked as correction officers in these prisons who had high turnover rates, who were high stressed out, who worked long hours, who and didn't get paid nothing. They were getting paid like mental like in poverty to sit there and to be in these prison systems. Yes, Lisa. Uh, Thank you. Columbus jail was just on the news for the exact same thing. And right here in Ohio, the jail, same thing. These conditions, and this is the reason why we have to pay attention to who we voted for, right? Because most of these conditions are ran by the states. While we worried about the president and who gonna be the senator and the House of Representatives, that's federal stuff. We talking about your state reps, your state senators, your 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 district attorneys, your judges, all this money that's getting put in, your governors, all of this stuff. All these people who we just sitting around don't know who they are and just voting for them just because they got a D or R or whatever next to their name. And we just go into the polls and we keep electing these folks and we have situations that are going on. Now, if you don't know what's going on at Parchman Prison, I'm gonna break it down to you real quick so you can understand what's going on. Okay, for starters, Parchman Prison started out. It was open in 1901. Now think about the South in 1901. Mississippi, one of the prime slave states. One of the prime slave states was a place where majority of my family who were enslaved lived. They lived in Olive Branch, Mississippi. They got there by leaving Alabama and they just went over the next state and moved to Olive Branch, Mississippi. Pretty much it was like a breeding ground for ADOS folks after they got emancipated. After they were suddenly freed, right? So 1901, right? Enter the KKK, enter black codes, enter Jim Crow, enter 13th, 14th Amendment, enter all this stuff, right? So here we got Parchman Prison, which was purchased by the state of Mississippi. Now, before there was slavery, but before slavery ended, we didn't have a police state. We didn't have a correction system in the country. You know, if the slave just, if a slave member did something they weren't supposed to, you just whipped them, right? But guess what was going on at Parchman Prison in 1901? They said the system would resemble slavery. This is 1901. Now, these are inmates. Inmates labor in the plantation and work other dangerous jobs for free for 10 to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, and slept in buildings called cages, all while making a profit for the state. This is what was going on in 1901. We jailing Negroes. We're jailing them. We're putting them in Parchman's prison farm. They're slaving for the state for free, and we're making a profit off of them. Wasn't that what they were doing for the slave masters? Now here's the kicker. A whip nicknamed Black Annie was used to punish the people. Guards relied on inmates called trustee shooters to keep other convicts in line. Trustee shooters. Trustee shooters. Isn't that like the house Negro inside the house telling the field Negroes that were out slaving on the plantation? Their master is good. He's a good master. Don't be acting up. This was going on in 1901. Slavery ended in 1865. They said, right. So we fast forward about 46 years, and here we are right now with 36 years. I'm sorry, let me do my math right. 36 years later, we got a plantation owned by the state using black slave labor. The conditions at this prison have been horrible for almost a century. So much so that they have had so many violations that they've had to shut off parts of the prison because of the stuff that was going on. But we don't have nobody. We have nobody that is sitting up there fighting for these inmates in Parchman for the conditions, right? Nobody. Nobody. You don't hear one politician talking about what's going on at Parchman Prison. But my God, let there had been some kids in a cage or somebody trying to illegal border crossers that got locked up at the border. We would have had every single damn Democrat, all of them would have been talking about this. This is a travesty. It would have been front page news. It would have been all over CNN, MSNBC. You would have had senators. You would have had House of Representatives outside of that facility today with cameras and everything trying to get inside. But because it's black folks that are locked up in this prison, they don't give a damn about how these people conditions are. Now I'm gonna give y'all some of the stuff that's been going on, okay, with this prison. We know about the deaths, right? It happens in pretty much every prison. You have people getting killed, you contraband. All right, this is prison life. This prison is ran by the inmates. That's what the people, the MDOC said. That is ran by the inmates. Now, and shout out to dark skin beauty. Yes, yes. But hey, we've seen it, right? We've seen majority of these inmates, right? We see them getting exonerated all the time. We see them getting exonerated 30 years. We just had two in the last week or so. Exonerated 30 years, 40 years, his lives gone. The one in Detroit, the man got prosecuted off of eyewitness testimony for 3 years later, and they just picked him up and just tie him to the. We know what goes on. All right. This ties back to that crime bill, that crime bill that Joe Biden talks about, that he doesn't want to talk about. That crime bill, right? When it was around here stopping and frisking black men, locking us up. But here's the thing about Parchman, right? We talk about funding. So back in August, the commissioner, her name is Felicia Hall, right? Wrote to the lawmakers and said this facility it was renovated back in 1996. It has become unsafe for staff and inmates due to the age and general deterioration, right? The agency has requested an allocation of $419 million for fiscal year 21, which amounts to about a 23% increase. And in addition, MDOC wanted to set aside about $22 million just for renovating Unit 29, where all this stuff that just happened in Parchman was at. Okay, they wanted $8.3 million to raise the current salaries for the correction officers. Now, here's the thing: Mississippi is the poorest state in America. I don't know if y'all realize that. They have the worst education system, and they're the poorest state. They have the lowest wages, the highest poverty, and at best the 50th best. We got the 50 states. They have the worst education system in all of America. Republican led though, ran by Republicans, right? The average salary of a correction officer in Mississippi is $25,000 a year. And they just wanted to raise the salary to $30,000, $25,000. So you working at this prison, you making $2,000 a month. You divide that by 2, that's $1,000 a month. After tax, you take 25%. You're looking at a paycheck probably about $700 every 2 weeks. $1,400 a month. You bring it home, take home to work in the prison. Now I don't know who can live off of that. That's poverty. If you look at the poverty line, people I told you Mississippi has the highest poverty rate. Working in prison, you in poverty, you poor. That's what it is. And they wanted to raise the salary to $30,000 a year. 30,000. They said that was based on the average hiring salary in neighboring states. And then they wanted to put another 35 million into filling the 800 vacancy positions they have at the 3 prisons. 800 positions are unfilled. They said that they were experiencing a critical understaffing, right, at the 3 prisons. And they needed at least 1,000 more prison guards, corrections officers. They said that it has, and the reason why is because they're so understaffed because they don't pay nothing. So because they're not keeping up with the industry pay system and other professions, people said the hell with working at being a corrections officer. I'm not working for MDOC at all. I'm about to go get me another job. I'm not being a corrections officer making $25,000 a year, and I got to be dealing with inmates all day long. No, I'm not doing this. And it's 19,000 inmates in the prison system. Now, here's the thing, though. What's crazy? Mississippi has the 3rd highest incarceration rate in the country. So you're undermanned, you're underpaid, you're undermanned, you're underpaid, and on top of that, you're the 3rd highest rated incarceration rate in the country. The only 2 that are higher than them is California and Louisiana. Little Mississippi, we making $25,000 to be a corrections officer, and you want me to go in here in that 3rd highest rated incarceration rate in the country and go deal with inmates all day long? This is atrocious. It makes no sense. So I'm like, so of course nobody wants to be a corrections officer. We can't even hire people to go into prisons. We can't even hire people to go into prisons because we're not paying them nothing, and the facilities are trash. So they shut down a prison, right? They shut down a prison. It was called Walnut Grove Correctional Facility. Now this prison was a private prison, and we want to do away with private prisons. That is something that, if you go back and look at the crime bill, private prison industry, the prison industrial complex came about because of that, because people saw that it was profiting. We were profiting off of the lives of black men, black women getting locked up. It was profitable. So we're gonna go into this industry and we're gonna make our money somehow, some way. We're gonna tie it to the end, and we had these prisoners, private prisons sprouting up like wildflowers. We had more prisons going on. We had more prisons going on than we had schools getting built. So they shut this prison down in 2016. Said that it was cited budget cuts, right? We ain't got no money to be running these prisons. And they said it was a declining number of inmates, right? So somehow or another, inmates not getting locked up that much in Mississippi no more. I wonder why. What's going on, right? So, but they knew that Parchman was in shambles. And they said that they could have transferred all the inmates from Parchman, put them in Walnut Grove Correctional Facility, which was, this other prison, private prison, and all they needed was $1 million worth of improvements, and it would have created like tens of millions of dollars in that whatever that area was, create 100 jobs in Central Mississippi, right? That's what they were tied it to. We can create jobs. We're gonna create jobs by locking niggas up. All right, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna move some prisoners. We're gonna open this thing up. We're gonna create some new jobs. We're gonna pay y'all $25,000 a year to come work here. All right, but the state said no, we can't do that. We don't have the money. So this unit at Parchman, Unit 29, they moved them from Unit 29, which is like I guess it's the worst unit that they got there. They moved them over to Unit 32, which was the maximum security side of the prison. But it had been closed down for a decade because they got sued. Now how does a prison get sued for inhumane conditions and an inadequate physical and mental health care? So you got black men locked up in Mississippi in some of the most inhumane conditions. So they shut down half of the prison because it's just that inhumane. They got a lawsuit put against them. But we don't have no politicians that have been advocating in the state of Mississippi. Where the state reps that are in Mississippi? Because if y'all don't know the dynamics of Mississippi politics, there's a lot of black folks that are on these. There's a lot of black folks in state government in Mississippi. A lot of black people are in state government. Now they don't run the government. All right, I'm gonna be perfectly honest. Republicans run the government down there, but there are a lot of black folks. Matter of fact, Mississippi has the highest rate of black politicians in power than any other state per capita in the entire country. That's a little tidbit for y'all. They got more black politicians in Mississippi than any other state per capita. But we don't hear anybody advocate for these conditions at this prison. All right, they talking about mold problems, no electricity, malfunctioning plumbing, all this stuff. This is what's going on. They ain't got no electricity. They got mold problems. They said that in certain parts of the prison, there's holes in the ceiling. When it rains, the water come in. They got rats and roaches all over the place. They got places and parts where birds fly in and take the food off the inmate tray. Like, this is the stuff that's going on at Parchman. And nobody advocating for these people when we talk about this because they too busy worrying about impeaching damn Donald Trump. We haven't seen nobody advocating for the conditions that these brothers are living in at all. At all. We don't hear about it. We don't see it. Nobody's down there outside the prison advocating for these brothers. You don't hear. You don't see no politicians. Where's Val Demings at from Florida? She was out marching along the streets one day. Just had like a little march going on. I'm marching for the kids at the border. Well, how about you march your ass down to Mississippi and go see what's going on at Parchman Prison? How about you go march down there? How about you do that? And answer your thing, yes, we I can have guests on. If you want to come on, put your email address in the link, and then I'll shoot you an email with the back channel so you can come on. That's the reason why we found out about it. Inmates with contraband cell phones taking pictures of the conditions that they living in inside the prison. This is how we find out what's going on inside Parchman. Now, if y'all don't know, the leader of the two top officials inside of the Mississippi Department of Corrections decided to resign. Like, the hell with this. I'm not going down with the ship. I'm just gonna go ahead and resign. I'm gonna go ahead on and resign. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm gonna do. I ain't got time for this. I'm gonna I don't want any parts of this at all. None whatsoever. So they just decided to just bounce on out. So how is that even allowed? Like, no, you can't sit up there. You can't sit up here and do this, right? You can't sit up here and turn around and not advocate, because see it's so easy for people to sit up here and walk away, right? You walk away. So they just decided, you know what, we just gonna be done with it. Now what you have is all these people looking into what's going on, right? but it's still not getting a lot of. It's still not getting a lot of play. Still not getting a lot of play. It's getting some type of notoriety by little things going on. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm typing. I shouldn't be doing that, but I'm sending the link though. All right. So you should have it, dark skin beauty. You should have it. How long is the show? Uh, how long I go? I don't know. We just we gonna keep going. Did you see the email? So this is what's going on. The email I don't know. But yeah, I saw the email. I saw the email that got written. I saw it. I'm sitting there like, wow, they're writing all this stuff, and the thing about it was right. So people are advocating they should have been closed this prison. They should have been closed this prison. But ain't nobody fighting for them, right? They've got so many lawsuits. This prison has had so many lawsuits. You know what I'm saying? They're like, it goes back centuries. It goes back centuries of a whole century of issues at this prison. But no, so my question is like, what's the problem? What is the problem? Why is it? Right now? Okay, it says here's the thing. They they got 375 inmates right now from Parchman. They found them another thing, right? They put them in a 90-day contract and with Core Civic at the Tallahatchie County Correctional Facility for $2 million. So they only got these prisoners there for about 90 days. That's what's going on, right? That's what's going on. So they set up there $2 million for 90 days for these prisoners to go to another one. All right. We're gonna bring somebody on. Hey,
Hey,
hey, how you doing?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, yes. Because I'm so glad you were talking about the prisons for facilities period, and so basically that's what I wanted to come on and make a comment about. Um, my handle on Twitter is AOS North. And on there you can see my picture. So yeah, you'll see me or whatever the case may be. But I'm the same woman that was talking about the asymmetry that is practiced against ADOS when we talk about these different facilities. So we're talking about whether it be children in foster care, whether it be inmates in the penitentiary, whether it be us homeless shelters. Therefore, that is what I wanted to come on here and talk about because I did the same on Twitter. For whatever reason, and again, I'm gonna say I appreciate you for talking about this subject. For whatever reason, and personally for me, I don't get it. You have other ADOS out there that just like this is the life we live, but yet and still, some of us still just don't get it or we don't believe it. Um, when we talk about the prisons, I wanted to talk about that mainly too because um, it's such a high number, just as Tone had said to us before, that he brought the numbers about how it's mainly men who are going to jail. But see, here's the thing, just like I had brought up in the chat, more than likely, when you talk about and I say so-called inmates, because that's what it is, so-called inmates, more than likely they're innocent. So could you imagine being an
Right.
innocent person? Could you imagine being an innocent person going through this mess?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I agree with you because this right here, what I'm reading and what I've seen is horrible. And if you were just sitting in there, you just locked up because uh you innocent, you locked up and you dealing with this. This is an extenuation on like trauma, right? We already dealing with PTSS, post traumatic slave syndrome anyway. Now you didn't lock me up. You didn't lock me up. I'm innocent. Now you send me out here to this prison and I'm dealing with conditions that are way worse than a third world country. I come from an area that's already like a third world country. I'm going to a place that's even worse. This is like hell on earth right here. And I'm dealing with this and I'm supposed to be trying to survive and I'm literally living in an area where I don't know if I can bathe, I can have a shower, food, anything. This is inhumane, and I can't believe that nobody, these politicians, these so-called politicians that seem like they're supposed to care about everybody, seem to don't give a damn about black men being locked up in these conditions like this.
Now, um, I wanted to kind of segue into shelters, because the reason why I'm talking about this is because whether folk want to acknowledge it or not, shelters and prisons are very much the same. Okay. Um, I have, and just to let you know, UBTV, I have, you know, proof. I have pictures. Now, I was in a shelter called the Wine Guard. Now, the Wine Guard doesn't, give folk, the greatest of food. Is it a little bit better than what these prisoners are getting? Yes. Just recently, they had issues with plumbing and feces all over the place. Let me, like I said in the commentary I did on Twitter, the Wine Guard is disgusting. You understand what I'm saying? I equate being in the shelter to, like, let's say for example, do you know what a furlough is?
Yes.
Now, I would equate it to that. You just get a furlough, but you have to be in at a certain time, and in certain shelters, you have to be out by a certain time. And when you go into that shelter, they treat you just like how they treat these inmates.
Mm.
So therefore, a lot of the stuff that these inmates are suffering, when you go to the shelter, it's no different. And again, with some of these inmates, when they do get out, that's where they go. They go straight to the shelter. So some of them are again used to the environment, because that's what happened to them in prison. When they get to the shelter, it's the same thing.
Mm. 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 It's a never ending cycle. Never ending
No,
cycle. Never ending cycle.
no, it's not.
And
It really isn't.
and but I what kills me is that we I always see see this stuff going on, and you see all these advocacy groups, right? They go down, we've seen it. They show the little pictures of the kids at the border in cages and all that stuff there. They try to play to the emotional, your emotional self. You're like, oh my god, that is so bad. Where are all these advocacy groups when it comes to black men being locked up? I haven't seen a movement yet. Like, seriously, like, I haven't seen one of these little groups that say that they care about people and all this stuff. Where they at? Like, but because see, it doesn't fit the narrative, right? And that's what I see. Poverty doesn't fit the narrative unless your skin is not melanated. You know what I'm saying? And they try to throw black and brown in there. Like, listen, ain't no black and brown folks ain't no brown folks locked up in Mississippi. All right, not at the mass that black men are locked up in Mississippi. So I don't want to hear no about no black and brown. What I care about is these men are ADOS. These are ADOS men who probably came from ADOS poverty that was systematic in the beginning. They're in a former slave state, still under slavery. And just like Pride Mississippian said, this prison is functioning exactly the way it's supposed to. It is continuing on the legacy of slavery. So you come on ADOS North, you come on and you say these brothers and sisters, they get out of prison, they go to a shelter, now they furloughed, now they're getting treated just like they in one. And then what happens after that? They leave the shelter, then they back on the streets. They
And
back on
see,
the
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I'm saying that they back on the streets. So the only thing they're gonna do is either they're gonna recidivize and go right back into prison because that's what they used to. So now they out robbing, stealing, killing, doing everything else to get back into that because they know there is no way for them not to be in the situation that they're in because they already came from this already. So there's like a revolving door, and ain't nobody trying to help them out. I give it to you.
Now, see, yeah. that's just a part of it too. The story of these inmates, when I saw it, touched me because I mean, I don't talk about it a lot, but I mentioned what happened to me for learning purposes. When I was a teenager, I was accused of a crime that I did not commit, and oftentimes, you understand what I'm saying? I understand that, black men are in prison the most, but please don't think that black women don't go to jail, because we do. We
Oh
don't
no,
go to
I
jail.
know.
We
I
don't go to
know.
jail. We don't go to jail at the rates you guys do. I concede to that. I agree with the data. But see, I've been there, done that. You understand what I'm saying? So I understand what it's like when you basically keep saying, "Look, I didn't do this. You have no evidence on me. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do what you said I did," but yet you end up getting a program, or worse yet, you end up going to the penitentiary, and then you have to go through that whole thing where they arrest you, they slap the cuffs on you until hands. You understand what I'm saying? They throw you around or whatever they feel like they want to do to you. And if you say anything, then you might turn up missing like most of us do.
Mm.
So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Sandra Bland.
So pretty much.
Sandra Bland. Hey, we still waiting on the video. They ain't seen the video. Somehow or another, these people get killed in prison, and all of a sudden the video seems to be getting missing, and there's something messed up with it. Like and sister, I'm not discounting black women getting locked up. I know a bunch of them. I know a bunch who have told me who have you know since I've been talking about this have came on and said different things to me through my Twitter, and like, yeah, the conditions ain't no better for black women. Oh, I know. See, and that's the thing. We dealing with this, and there is no help for these conditions. Like, how can you say, like I'm looking at this article, right? And this is what it says. It says cell 72 needs light bulbs, right? That's what it says. It says it needs light. So this is cell blocks. Cell block 72 needs light bulbs, complaining of rats and roaches. 81, no power, no water at the lavatory sink. Black mold in the shower, no power, no water at the sink. A health inspector came through and wrote a whole inspection and said it was the worst conditions they had ever seen in any single prison. So my question is if this was the case, if the health inspector came and said this is inhabitable, why we still got people living in this prison?
Oh yeah, and I wanted to add something to that too. Because I saw where these prisoners had no access to things that make you human, like clean drinking water.
Yeah.
Let me expand on that. I did not have access to clean water. So you see what I'm saying? What I'm saying is this. Any facility, it's the problem with the facility, because any two time you add us, ADOS, to a facility, is going that produces is some sort of a symmetry, because everywhere we go, we're going to be mistreated. I don't care where it is. I don't care if it's a nonprofit. I don't care if it's these different facilities like a shelter, a prison. That's what happens to us. Point blank. Period. That's what I want. I want other ADOS to get it. Anywhere we go is going to be in the symmetry, and so therefore we have to keep talking about this.
Yep. We got to keep talking about it, and we got to start showing up and doing something about it. Like
Exactly.
we gotta pay attention, because like this is a state run prison, right? Like, so this is the state of Mississippi. That means that somebody is in charge of this. Now, I saw somebody earlier in the mentions. I think it was probably Mississippi, said Benny Thompson tried to do something. It was too late. It ain't too late. He should be out there. Benny Thompson is the if y'all don't know, is the congressman from Mississippi, black congressman from Mississippi. He should be the biggest advocate for closing this prison down. Like, this thing should be burned to hell. And they should just lock it down, take the inmates somewhere else that's a better conditions, and burn and straight burn this down, because this is, you can't have citizens of this country living like this, especially under the like they're under the guidance and the state penal system. So they supposed to have some type of something going on up in here, some type of protections. There's no protection for the inmates. They said that I put it in the I put the actual article inside the chat so y'all can open it up and read it for your own. But y'all go through this thing and y'all see this. It is horrible. They have pictures of it. You know, there was another article. There was another article that I got. I'm gonna pull that one up too. It's from ProPublica, and it said that they got a video showing the killing. There's a video showing the killing that happened in on January 3rd with the inmates shouting and cheering. How is this happening? And they said that, hey, they know that the inmates are just walking around free. Ain't no corrections officers. We already said ain't nobody there. They don't have enough corrections officers. So the prisoners are running the prison. And that is the problem. So I'm gonna post that one in there too, so y'all can see this stuff. We got to get on the phone, people. We got to advocate for these brothers. We got to advocate for this
Most
because
definitely.
because they don't have nobody advocate for them. They don't have nobody talking about this issue. They don't have nobody calling they state reps, calling the Mississippi state reps, calling your congressman. I don't care if your congressman ain't in the state of Mississippi. Damn it, if they can go down to Texas and Florida where they had the kids in the little facilities, like the little shelters. They went to New York City. They was in Texas, California, Arizona, wherever they had these kids at the border at, and these families at the border. If they can go down and do this, they can take their behind down to Mississippi and see what's going on inside the Parchman.
And let's not forget too that in keeping with talking about the where we just get the shaft and all these facilities, um it's not like America doesn't have a history of experimenting on prisoners as well, so far as medically concerned, medical wise.
Exactly. Oh
So
yeah.
so I don't want anybody to forget that. Understand too that they probably, I wouldn't put it past if certain things weren't done to them or not done for them so far as medically.
Oh
I
yeah.
can't. I just can't.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. These articles they tell the story of what's going on. No drinking water, sewage backing up. We already know that about the sewage problems. That stuff comes all the way that comes all the way down from Alabama, right next door, Lowndes County, Alabama, with the hookworms. They said that this prison drinking water violated the Safe Drinking Water Act a dozen times, and the EPA has cited this prison sewer system for 3 years for violating the Clean Water Act. So my thing is the EPA, which is a federal program, is a federal agency, has hit this prison up a dozen times for violating the Clean Water Act, and yet and still somehow or another documents show that they were accredited a few years back. I'm just don't understand this. They like this this is what boots on the ground advocacy is about, right? And because we gotta look at things, and I know everybody's paying attention to like the presidential election, and everybody want to see who's gonna beat Trump or whatever and vote, all that stuff. This is where ADOS folks. This is where we gotta start paying attention to, and when we talk about down ballot voting, this is down ballot voting at its best, because this is what you get. This is what we need to be looking at. How are the people in our state being treated, even if they are incarcerated? And we know ADOS folks. We already said it. Most of ADOS folks that are locked up are probably they innocent. We're just gonna say that they have been accused, because too many of us are getting exonerated out. So I said, ask AOC, is she going down there? Yep, that's what we need to do, right? Go ask AOC. Somebody need, since they love talking about Kim K doing all this shit for criminal justice reform. Why Kim K
Don't
ass ain't?
nobody don't nobody give a fresh hell about no nasty ass Kim K.
I'm just saying, somebody say she the I saw something earlier that said that she was the criminal justice princess. Like, all right, then, so hey, we need to talk about Parchman. We need to talk about these conditions inside this prison. Because this is you can't talk about the First Step Act and advocate for that part and say, okay, we are righting the wrongs of the 1994 crime bill by, resentencing people and, commuting sentences and, leveling out the crack cocaine disparities, all that stuff. We can't sit up there and say that and then turn around and not advocate for what's going on inside the conditions inside the prison. So this is where I, as an activist, I like boots on the ground stuff, right? To me, criminal justice reform, prison reform is like one of my highest things, right? I have always I have always looked at the conditions inside these prisons, and and um and I always look at these conditions, and I'm always trying to advocate because these brothers and sisters don't have people that are fighting for them. This goes to the local level, right? So when I'm out in the streets of Columbus, Ohio, and I'm talking to people, I'm talking to them about police reform, criminal justice reform, because these are the things that we know we are disproportionately targeted racially into the criminal justice system. This doesn't start once you become an adult. This is school to prison, school to prison. This
Oh
starts
yeah.
this stuff starts small. So I advocate for brothers and sisters all the time. And this right here is near and dear to my heart because, my family roots are from on my dad's side are in Mississippi. So I'm pretty sure I probably got, you know my dad was incarcerated in Mississippi at one point. So I can only imagine he's no longer here. He passed away back in 2018. I can only imagine if he was still alive and me and him have a conversation about what was going on because he was in one of these prisons. So I need to know, what's going on down there. And we need to have people on the ground outside of this prison. We need the ACLU. We need all these people. Where the NAACP? I haven't heard them talking
Don't
about
don't get me started on the ACLU.
it. Hey,
Please don't.
you know,
Please don't. You
you
don't
know,
want that.
yeah. I just ask those questions because these are the people that they swear up and down that they are the ones that are fighting, right? And I don't see nobody fighting for ADOS folks besides ADOS. I see everybody. What I see is everybody fighting ADOS. Everybody wants to fight us because we're trying to fight for ourselves, and it's like, what the hell, man? Like, why can't we just see this issue and say, okay, this is a problem. This is a problem, and we need to work together. But no, we too concerned about labels. But damn it, we got ADOS men that are locked up in this prison right now that are getting treated like crap. And I wish I could. I'm about to share my screen. Hopefully it shows this picture. I just this picture right here. This is inside the prison. So I'm about to share this real quick, and because it's it's this right here is crazy. I just want to share this picture. Can y'all see that? Like,
Yeah.
that's inside the prison. That is inside the prison. Look at the cell.
Looks like a shit. It's very similar in the shelter as well. Understand that. I'm gonna say it again. Everywhere we go, it's gonna be a symmetry. So that's no surprise. I've seen that before.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, look at it. Like, that is craziness. That is craziness right there. Like, right outside the cell block, right outside the wall. And then they got here's another picture. Here's another picture. This is the one. This is from 1974. So this is what we got going on in 1974 in Parchman. This is what we got going on. This is what we got going on in the cotton fields. Inmates chopping cotton in the field at night in 1974. So this is what we had going on. These work camps. So they said that they got rid of them. And y'all see the little article right here. It says Mississippi spent more than $35 million to modernize Parchman, replacing the work camps with more than 2 dozen buildings surrounded by razor wire. So this was going on up for a while. You know what I'm saying? This was what's going on. This is what was going on. They would look at this unfit 1905. the state of Mississippi was making $185,000 every 2 years from harvest. The modern day equivalent of $5 million. That's slave labor. That
Yes, it
is
is.
slave labor. $185,000 in 1901 compared to $5 million right now.
Oh,
And
but
these
but
people, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
but, but UBTV, guess what? We're gonna fix this by Powernomics. We're gonna fix this if we just click our heels 3 times and it'll be over. Yeah.
I don't know where these people get this from. Like this stuff has been. This is what's been going on. And what's crazy is like people want to say, oh well, this we need reparations for this shit. Like this is what we need reparations for, right? Because this is the state of Mississippi was making money off the backs of free black slave labor, but they were calling them inmates. We had sharecropping going on in Mississippi. My family was a bunch of sharecroppers. I come from a family of sharecroppers. So yeah, sharecropping going on down there. You had land getting stolen, land getting stolen from black folks. You locking them up, free labor. We making $185,000 every 2 years off these Negroes, and it was okay. And it was doing this up until 1974. I can only imagine how much money the state of Mississippi made off of this until they got busted and they got told they couldn't have this no more. Like think about
I
it. From
mean,
1901 to 1974, they had this going on. So you talking about 70 years of free labor in cotton fields and whatever. That's the thing. And then what did it say? We had this 3 years later. They said they had this guy come in. He was looking at the facilities and the ACLU got it shut down. The federal judge said it was a federal judge came out and said that this part of the prison, which is Unit 32, was in unconstitutional condition. So they shut it down. 3 years later, whoever this commissioner was, somehow or another, he got locked up for bribery. Not,
uh-uh.
not hey, I'm about to show it. I'm about to share it I'm about to share it so y'all can see this. So y'all can see this. Y'all, it's right here in the middle. 3 years later, Chris Epps, the corrections office, corrections commissioner at the time, who was championing this prison reform, was arrested on bribery charges. Epps, a former Parchman guard who served as the president of the ACA, pled guilty and is now serving 20-year prison sentence. I so I guess he was working for the American Corrections Association. You know what I'm saying?
Now I
They were
wonder if he
they
went to the
they
same
said,
prison he was supposed to be over.
hey, you know what? That's the part that I don't understand. Like you supposed to be a reformer, you get locked up. Now I don't know what color this man is. I don't know if Chris Epps was a black man, proud Mississippi. Do you know? You know if Chris Epps was black? Because I tend to believe that if you're doing some prison reform and you a former corrections officer, I'm probably sure that the dude, the brother, it was a black dude. I'm not. I'm almost. I'm not sure. He was black. Bingo. There you go. And the reason why I asked that question is because have y'all noticed that every time there's a black politician that tries to do some change, somehow or another something happens to this this ADOS man
Of course.
or woman, and they end up with corruption. For somehow they get corrupted. You look at Bill Jefferson down in Louisiana, Jesse Jackson the third. A bunch of mayors like where I used to live at in Jersey. Like the
I
Trenton
live in
mayor,
Jersey too.
Mayor Mac, the like all this stuff, right? So there's always a black one. But who is in charge of the prison system right now that is not getting sued? Because Jay-Z just decided that he was going to sue. Now, I don't know who he's suing, but he's suing on behalf of these 29 inmates that are in Parchman. They had a federal lawsuit that they're filing. But that
But if
doesn't
I'm
do
not mistaken,
anything. Go ahead.
if I'm not mistaken, wasn't I said if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it Jay Z that was benefiting off the penitentiary as well? So how was he suing on behalf of anybody?
Yeah, because he was out there making money off of uh You had your the GPS monitors. Yeah, like he invested in GPS monitors. So I don't understand how you can. Yeah, hey, Jay Z is doing. I say this. Jay Z is doing what everybody else is doing, right? Prison labor and prison money is a lucrative business. Private prisons make a lot of. I mean that the prison, the industrial complex and the whole set makes a lot of money because I've seen documentaries and I've seen numbers and did reports on this. And the thing is that there's a lot of money. And the thing about it, a lot of it is it ain't just the states that are making money or the private industry. The federal government make a lot of money off of slave off of this slave labor. That's what we're gonna call it because we got inmates that are making military equipment like the
Yep.
uniforms. They sewing the uniforms. They making all the furniture goes in these military buildings. They do all of this. And the company, one of the companies
They
that
making
that
balls for Victoria's Secret.
yeah, they doing all this. They doing all this stuff here. They making all the money. Like what was it Walmart? I think Walmart had a lot of their stuff was getting made. You see it, and people think that this stuff is getting made in the USA. Like, oh yeah, it's made in the USA. No, this shit is getting made on prison farms. Yeah, it's made in the USA. It's made for the USA for dirt cheap. And these brothers is this is the equivalent of the Nike sweat camps in the Philippines. In Thailand, we want to talk about Nike, Phil Knight and Nike selling, making Air Jordans in Taiwan for dirt cheap. Well, what are we saying about our brothers and sisters that are out here making the fabric of the country made in the USA, and they getting the same thing. So
It should say made in the U.S. prison.
yeah, that's what it should say. It should say whatever prison they making it at, and then some of these prisons like Parchman, like you had Angola in Louisiana that has a farm on it. Like they got produce that they selling, like all this stuff, and this stuff is showing up in grocery stores and all this other stuff because it's cheap. So I just we can really have a conversation about this. And this is why advocacy is important. This is why you got to get off your butt. You got to be out here. You got to be talking to these politicians in your area. You got to know your politicians. Like that is one of the biggest things when I'm out knocking on doors, talking to people. I ask them, I don't never ask them about the president and all that stuff. I start right at the local level. Hey, do you know who your ward boss is? Do you know who your commissioner is? Do you know who represents this area of city council? Do you know who the police chief is? Do you know who's in charge of the precinct captain? Do you know who these people are? Like, because if the answer is no, then I start asking other questions. Okay, well, who you voting for? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Proud Mississippi said he remember being in the Navy and recall seeing electronic repair parts stamp produced with prison labor. Ain't that something? You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. Like I ask these questions because we talk about advocacy and we talking about a black agenda, right? Prison reform has to be part of a black agenda. It has to. It has to because it affects ADOS more than anybody else. It, I mean, these brothers and sisters are living in inhumane conditions. Come out, they're traumatized already, going in, traumatized going in, coming back out, traumatized more. And they not getting. We know they're not getting. If they were on drugs, they were on drugs or something. We know they're not getting treatment, right? They're not getting. They're not getting drug treatment, right? If they were living in the suburbs and they were on opioids, you know, they'll have facilities for that. But these brothers and sisters, they don't get the proper treatment. We already see that they're not getting fed properly, so they're not even getting proper nutrition. We know that they probably getting like outdated drugs, so they're not getting proper prescriptions. They're not able to have clean drinking water. Sound like Flint, Michigan. They already don't
Sound like
have.
New Jersey.
So it sound like Newark, sound like Denmark, South Carolina, sounds like pretty much everywhere. Baltimore, Maryland, sounds like not all of Baltimore, West Baltimore. Let me put it in perspective. They got sewage problems, just like Lowndes, Mississippi. I mean Lowndes County, Alabama. My bad. All these things, and these are the conditions, and we don't know who we voting for because we don't know the people that we putting in office. And sometimes, most of the times, we'll go because we know the person is black, and we'll just be like, hey, And I seen people because I talked to them. I don't know why y'all, it's a bad enough we don't have, enough representation. I don't give a damn about representation. Okay, I don't care about representation because guess what? Right now they're not doing their job in the first place. So you can dismiss me with all the symbolism about having a black person do anything because if they were doing their job, we wouldn't have the situations that we have. And I remember I was out at the last election, right? At the last election, I was out and I was handing out flyers because we had endorsed candidates. Because I'm a member of ADOS Columbus here. Shout out to my ADOS brothers and sisters from Columbus, Ohio. We doing work like out in the streets, work. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my moderator Lisa because she's my uh like my ace boon coon and so we out here in these streets together tag teaming. Um, but we when we out right and we doing this work and you run across people and we handing out flyers and we got so many people came up to us and was like I don't know these folks and we telling them hey why you voting for this person, why are you voting for this person that you see. Well, because here in Ohio they got these slate cards, right? So they have they mail them out to the house and they say, okay, these are the preferred candidates that we want you to vote for, right? We want you to vote for these people. We want you to vote for these people. They ain't telling you anything. They just got a card. It's got everybody's name on it, picture on it, and everything. Just say, hey, these are the endorsed candidates. They call it a sample ballot. That's what we call it here, right? Sample ballot. What it really is a slate card. So most black folks, right here in Ohio, come to the polls with these slate cards. They just go in. They got a picture of somebody. They see, oh, they black. Okay, well, yeah, I'm gonna vote for this person. Check. Oh, there's another black person. Yeah, I'm gonna vote for this person. Check. And they've been doing this constantly, and they wonder why conditions like what's going on in Parchman are happening because we got people who are not even researching the candidates, don't care. I like they don't even know who the people are. They haven't reached anything. They haven't heard any ballot. They haven't heard none of their initiatives. They never heard no agenda from these people. But all they see is a black face and they voted for them. And then you get issues like what I said in Parchman and Mississippi because they got the highest rate of black politicians. So I'm wondering what is going on. Like, how is this even happening? Why is this not something that they are fighting for and we can see people out there? You know what I'm saying? Like, where the camera crews at? There was a reason why they didn't want the cameras to go. The commissioner of MDOT, the governor, they don't want nobody to see this shit, right? They don't want nobody to see this. They don't want to go in there and see these people living in conditions. And y'all see the pictures on those two articles. They don't want the tiles falling down, the ceiling open. They don't want anyone to see that because that doesn't fit the narrative. They don't want to see that they treating black men and black women worse off than they treating these kids and these families that are crossing the border illegally. That's the thing, because they want them to be the face of inhumane treatment in the hands of the U.S. government. They want to show the little kids sleeping on little cots and inside the cages, right? That is the face that they want to display America. But they don't want to show you the conditions that are so worse that people are trying to get the United Nations to come in and say that they're this worse in these prisons. And these are citizens. These are people who were born here. That's what I'm saying. And we have nobody advocating for them. I'm sorry. I just don't. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't understand it, and I probably never understand it because it don't make any sense to me that this is going on. Like this is going on, and it's going on because nobody is going to think about it. If y'all can do anything for me, anything. The only thing I want you to do is tweet hashtag Parchman Prison and share those articles on your Twitter page. Hashtag Parchman Prison. Share it on your social media. Share it on your share it on your Facebook. Share it on your Facebook. Share it on your Facebook. And if you can do that, we need to get some light to this. We need to have some conversations. We need to start finding out hey, tweet at your politician. Tweet at your House of Representative. Hey, why aren't you talking about what's going on at Parchman Prison? Tweet at Kamala Harris and Cory Booker and anybody else. Hey, tweet at all these presidential candidates. Tweet at them. Why are these conditions the way they are? Because that is how you advocate. And we need to, as black as ADOS folks, this is what we need to be doing when we talk about boots on the ground. It's not everything can't just be about one. We can't have one size fit all advocacy, right? We got to be doing a bunch of multiple things at one time. And if criminal justice and prison reform is not part of your platform, you need to make it part of it because this affects us more than anything else. Besides reparations and economic equality, this right here has a renowned effect on our community, and we know that. So I'm gonna end the show tonight. Like I said, hashtag Parchman Prison. Tweet. Thank y'all for subscribing tonight. Tuning in tonight. I want to thank ADOS North for coming on. Tune in next week. Hopefully I'll come back on Tuesday unless something crazy happens. I'll be back on next Tuesday night at 9 o'clock. But I'm signing out. Thank you so much, and good night to everybody. God bless you, and I'm out.